Welcome to Paskvan Podcasts. Please like, subscribe, and comment. It really helps this channel. Imagine a world of just unimaginable luxury, cutting-edge technology, untold fortunes. Now picture all of that vanishing beneath the waves, leaving behind this chilling mystery that's haunted history for, over a century now? Tonight, we're not just looking at a shipwreck. We're peering into a lost moment, a whispered secret, and a treasure that might still be down there, hidden, defying, every attempt to find it.
And that's really where the story of the RMS Republic starts to get interesting, isn't it? It's not just another maritime casualty. We're looking at a ship that was a true marvel of its time, a name that really meant opulence, technological foresight, but whose final moments sparked one of the most, intriguing and persistent maritime mysteries ever.
Right. And the big question, the one that keeps researchers and treasure hunters up at night, is pretty profound. Was the Republic just, unlucky, a victim of fog and collision? Or did she carry secrets and a fortune? Maybe a fortune so massive that governments, powerful people, would rather just keep it buried, keep it quiet down there in the cold silence of the deep. So get ready, because the story of the Republic, it's way more than just a historical footnote. It's a tale of survival, but also technological triumphs. And crucially, this enduring legend of a phantom fortune that, if it's real, could be worth hundreds of millions today. Exploring the sources around the Republic, it really shows you that sometimes the biggest adventure isn't finding the treasure. It's wrestling with the possibility that it even exists.
You really have to picture the era, the early 20th century. It truly was this golden age of ocean travel. Think of these massive steel palaces, just meticulously engineered, lavishly decorated, cutting across the Atlantic. They weren't just ships. They were huge statements of national pride, symbols of technology, floating showcases of luxury that, for the lucky few, completely redefined travel. The journey itself was the event.
Absolutely. And right there, in the middle of all that grandeur, 1903, the White Star Line. A name everyone knew, the same company behind the Olympic and, yes, the Titanic. They launched the RMS Republic. Built at Harland and Wolff in Belfast, same place as her more famous sisters. I mean, this thing was huge. Over 570 feet long, 15,000 gross tons. Real marvel, combining that White Star strength and, undeniable luxury.
And while she maybe wasn't the absolute biggest ship they had, those huge Olympic-class liners came a bit later. The Republic very quickly carved out her own prestigious spot. She was instantly seen as one of the most magnificent, most exclusive liners crossing the Atlantic. And she earned that nickname almost immediately, the Millionaires Ship. And that wasn't just hype, it really reflected who was sailing on her.
Yeah, you have to understand why that name stuck. The passenger lists, they weren't just names. They read like a who's who of early 20th century America. We're talking industrial tycoons, the Carnegies and Rockefellers of the world, maybe not them specifically, but that type. Socialites setting trends, top diplomats, powerful financiers. They walked those decks like it was their own private club if you stepped aboard. Wow. The sources describe these sweeping grand staircases, crystal chandeliers sparkling, mahogany smoking rooms thick with cigar smoke and hushed deals probably, private suites that rivaled the best hotels in London or New York. You weren't just crossing the ocean, you were basically ruling it for a week.
But it's really important as we look at this era to remember the stark contrast just below deck. While first-class passengers enjoyed this unbelievable luxury, the Republic also carried thousands of immigrants in steerage, cramped conditions, basic facilities. For them, the ship wasn't a palace. It was a vessel of hope, a chance at a new life across the ocean. And that juxtaposition immense wealth for a few, alongside the struggle of the many, all in the same steel hull that really sums up the Gilded Age, doesn't it? Staggering wealth. Deep inequality, a reminder that progress wasn't shared equally.
And beyond just the luxury, the Republic was technologically ahead of the curve too. What's really striking, she had the latest thing in maritime safety, the Marconi wireless telegraph. I mean, this was absolutely groundbreaking back then. Before wireless, ships left port and were essentially cut off, maybe visual signals, maybe encountering another ship by chance, but that was it. But the Republic's wireless could send messages hundreds of miles. It was the absolute cutting edge of safety at sea. And that technology, it proved incredibly important, didn't it? It changed everything that was about to happen.
That ability to communicate beyond the horizon was, as you say, revolutionary. It shifted maritime travel from this solitary, isolated gamble to a connected network. Imagine being a captain before that. Disaster strikes, and you are utterly alone. Wireless changed that fundamental terror. Ships could share warnings, report hazards, and crucially, call for help. It was the first real step towards modern maritime safety, the idea that no ship was truly unreachable.
So fast forward to January 1909. The Republic's getting ready for another big trip, New York to the Mediterranean. Passenger list. Still glittering. Millionaires, diplomats, even some high-ranking U.S. government officials. But here's where things get a little murky. Even before she sailed, rumors started swirling about valuable cargo hidden down below. Shipments of cash, maybe. Government payments. Some even whispered about gold heading to Europe. See, the Republic wasn't just for passengers. She had this quiet reputation as a trusted carrier for sensitive, high-value stuff.
And that specific reputation meant these whispers weren't just idle gossip. They carried weight. It adds this layer of intrigue, maybe international importance, to her voyages. It's a detail that, looking back, really fuels the whole mystery around why she sank and what went down with her.
So the voyage starts peacefully enough. January 22nd. The Republic steams out of New York Harbor, majestic city skyline fading away. Passengers settle in. Men in the smoking room discussing business, women strolling the deck in fancy gowns, kids playing. Yeah, the whole Gilded Age scene. But as she heads northeast, the weather turns. Nasty. Dense fog rolls in, a thick gray curtain just swallowing the horizon. Visibility drops to almost nothing. Back then, no radar, none of the modern navigation aids. Fog was the enemy. Mariners relied on whistles, bells, lookouts, straining their eyes. So the Republic slows down, follows the rules. Her deep whistle echoes out into the grayness. A lonely sound. But those lanes off New England, packed with ships. Even slowed down in that fog, every unseen vessel is potentially way too close. Captain Inman Sealby, experienced guy, knows the dangers, orders extreme caution. But sometimes, caution just isn't enough. Because somewhere else in that same fog, another ship is pushing on. The Italian liner SS Florida, smaller, crowded with immigrants heading to New York, also lost in the mist.
The stage was absolutely set for disaster. The inherent risks of navigating like that in such a busy area, it was a ticking clock. The ocean's vastness became a trap, hiding these two liners on collision course. It really underscores the dangers before modern tech.
And then, it happened. Early hours, January 23rd, 1909, off Nantucket. The Republic's moving slow, whistle blowing, settling out of the gray. This looming shadow, a desperate whistle blast from the other ship. And before anyone can react, bang. The SS Florida slams right into the Republic's starboard side. A terrible grinding crash, steel screams, wood splinters, passengers thrown from their beds in sheer terror. The whole ship shudders. The Florida's bow, built tough for ice, just punches deep into the Republic's hull. Below the waterline, a huge gaping wound.
Chaos. Instantly. On both ships. But on the Republic, it's immediately clear this is bad. Really bad. Water's just pouring in. An unstoppable flood. Captain Sealby assesses the damage. Grim news. She's not sinking instantly, no, but the pumps. They can't possibly keep up. The damage is too severe. Those critical watertight bulkheads are breached. She's fatally wounded. It wasn't a question of if she'd sink anymore, it was when.
Okay, so amidst this absolute nightmare, the sound of rushing water, panic starting to spread, one man quietly makes history. Young wireless operator Jack Binns. He's at his Marconi set, focused while everything around him is falling apart. And here's where it gets really interesting, because wireless had been talked about, but this was its first major test, a real life or death crisis. And Binns' fingers, steady, tap out that signal, CQD. CQD, Republic collided with Florida, require immediate assistance. That's the precursor to SOS, right? The main distress call back then. And this is the first time it's used to summon help in a major disaster like this, a desperate plea piercing the fog and the silence.
That moment, it really was a watershed moment in maritime history. Binns' signal, those dots and dashes, traveled hundreds of miles through the night, and incredibly, almost immediately, replies started crackling back. Other ships heard it. The White Star liner, Baltic, the Cunard liner, Lucania. They changed course, heading straight for the Republic. For the very first time, wireless wasn't just sending messages, it was turning these scattered ships into a lifeline, a network. It was a pivotal moment, demonstrating the raw, life-saving power of this new tech right when it mattered most. Changed everything about safety at sea.
Meanwhile, back in the Republic, it's an incredible scene. Passengers are gathered on deck, rich, poor, everyone together. Fear hanging heavy in the fog. You've got society ladies in furs, clutching jewels, standing next to immigrants from steerage, praying with their kids. The fog muffles everything, the sounds, the fear. It creates this eerie, surreal bubble. Captain Sealby. Amazing leadership here. He gets the lifeboats ready, but makes a bold call. Don't abandon ship yet. The Republic's wounded, yeah, but still afloat. Keeping people organized on board is safer than launching boats into that freezing, blind fog. Rescue is coming. Buy time. Keep calm. And that discipline from the crew, from the passengers, it stopped a panic. Stopped things from getting much, much worse.
And those next hours dragged on. A whole agonizing day. The fog just wouldn't lift. A long, tense wait. The Florida, damaged but afloat, stayed nearby. But the Republic, she was slowly dying. That gash below the waterline kept widening. The pumps fought hard. You could hear them straining, but the sea was relentless. Slowly, inevitably, pulling the Grand Liner down. It was a losing battle against the Atlantic.
But then the rescue ships arrive. They finally punch through the fog. And what follows is this massive, unprecedented transfer of people. Lifeboats carefully lowered, shuttling over 1,500 souls, men, women, children, from first class to steerage through that cold, foggy water to the safety of the Baltic. I mean, think about how perilous that was. Freezing sea, zero visibility, moving all those people, risk of more collisions. Yet somehow it worked. Remarkably successful. Yes, 6 lives were tragically lost in the initial collision, but that's incredibly few considering what could have happened. So the Republic's legacy in that moment wasn't mass death, it was mass survival, thanks to the crews, the passengers' discipline, and absolutely that miracle of wireless. It avoided a Titanic-level catastrophe, really.
It absolutely proved radio's potential. It wasn't just theoretical anymore. This event directly led to international rules making wireless mandatory on passenger ships, SOLAS conventions, things like that. The Republic wasn't just a wreck, she was a hard, critical lesson that profoundly shaped all future maritime safety.
So by January 24th, the end was near. No denying it. The Republic was dying. She'd held on over 36 hours, which is incredible, a testament to her build, her crew, but the flooding was just unstoppable now. Captain Sealby makes that painful call. Abandon ship. Fully. As the last lifeboats cool away, the fog seems to just swallow the liner, decks tilting, funnels leaning, and then with these deep groans of tearing metal, the Millionaires ship just slips beneath the waves, quietly disappears.
She came to rest about 50 miles south of Nantucket Island, settled on the seabed, 250 feet down, the pride of the White Star Line, gone. But in dying, the Republic left behind something much bigger than just twisted metal.
Exactly. Way bigger. Because almost immediately, a different story starts. Whispers among the rescued passengers. Speculation explodes in the newspapers. Talk among officials. The Republic, they said, wasn't just carrying millionaires, she was carrying millions. In treasure. The figure that kept popping up. $3 million in gold. Now think about that. In 1909 dollars, that's a staggering fortune. Adjust that for today. Easily over $400 million. Maybe much more. And that's where it gets really interesting again, because suddenly the sinking isn't just an accident. It's the story of this phantom fortune, locked away in steel and salt water, just waiting.
And that sparked the big question, the one we're still asking. What was this gold? And who was it for? Over the years, several pretty compelling theories have surfaced.
Yeah, one of the big ones, the most persistent maybe, is that it was U.S. Navy payroll. The U.S. had ships, sailors stationed in the Mediterranean back then. They needed paying. Logistical funds, and gold was the trusted way to ship large sums internationally. Secure, universally accepted. Now, the implication there is huge. If that's true, the U.S. government quietly lost a massive treasure, which means they'd have every reason in the world to cover it up, right? Avoid a scandal, the political heat, the financial hit, keep it secret.
That motive for secrecy is incredibly strong. It wouldn't just be embarrassing, it would be a major financial blow. So silence makes sense. Another theory points towards Russia. Remember, in 1909, the Tsar's empire was shaky. They'd lost the war with Japan. There was revolution brewing at home. Nicholas II's regime was wobbling. So maybe the gold was financial support from allies, perhaps the U.S., trying to prop up the Tsar. A secret shipment to stabilize things.
And if that was the case, well, secrecy would be paramount, wouldn't it? Neither Russia nor the U.S. would want that kind of covert deal becoming public knowledge, especially if it was about influencing geopolitics. Then there's a third theory, maybe a bit more exotic. Vatican treasure, church gold, perhaps, funds for Catholic charities or institutions in Europe. The Vatican has a long history of moving money discreetly. And White Star Line. Reputable, secure, logical choice for a sensitive shipment like that.
And we can't forget the obvious one either. The personal fortunes of the passengers themselves. You had all these millionaires on board. Bankers, industrialists, society figures. It's entirely plausible, even probable, that some were carrying their own private stashes, gold bars maybe, jewels, stuff not listed on any official manifest, stored in trunks, maybe ship safes. If so, a lot of that unrecorded wealth went down too, adding another layer to this whole phantom fortune idea.
But here's the really maddening part. For all these theories, all this logic, the official records are just silent. Cargo manifests. Vague, incomplete, sometimes just missing. Government archives, searched extensively, no confirmed mention of lost gold, White Star Line. Never admitted carrying treasure. If they knew, they kept it locked down tight.
And that raises the core question, doesn't it? Why the silence? If there was no treasure, why not just say so, clearly? Why let these rumors build and fester for over 100 years? It's a paradox, that very lack of denial, the official void. It almost fuels the belief that something was there. Governments don't usually shout about losing huge fortunes, do they? Especially if it involves sensitive stuff. So the silence itself becomes kind of suspicious and encourages the speculation.
In the years right after she sank, people definitely dreamed of finding that treasure, divers. But back then, early 20th century, diving gear was primitive, really limited depth, limited time underwater. And the Republic, she's down 250 feet. That was just too deep for most divers back then. Salvage tech wasn't there yet. So for decades, the ship and whatever she held just sat there, untouched, silent, becoming more legend than reality.
Exactly. That 250 feet, it's a challenging depth even today, but back then it was a massive technological barrier. The twilight zone, they call it. Immense pressure, darkness. It basically guaranteed the wreck stayed undisturbed, letting the legend grow without any hard facts to contradict it. The ocean was the perfect vault.
But then, this other theory pops up, kind of unsettling, the secret recovery theory. Some researchers argue, pretty convincingly actually, that if there was gold, the U.S. Navy quietly salvaged it soon after the sinking. Think about it. Military divers operating in total secrecy, government resources, they could have done it. Retrieve the treasure and then erase the records, classify everything, make the gold vanish from history, avoid the scandal, the loss. Just make it disappear.
It's a compelling theory, isn't it? Because if it's true, it neatly explains a lot of the enduring puzzles. It explains why no gold has ever been found in later public salvage attempts. It explains the maddening silence in the official documents. It shifts the mystery from, is the gold still there, to, was it already taken? And it gives a powerful reason state secrecy for why we don't know for sure. It suggests the treasure isn't myth, it's just classified.
Okay, let's unpack this. If true, this would explain the absence of gold in later attempts and the silence of official documents, wouldn't it? It fits perfectly. A government avoiding bad news. It turns the whole thing from an unsolved mystery into maybe a really successful cover-up.
It provides a very tidy, very plausible explanation for the inconsistencies. It suggests the legend persists not because the treasure is mythical, but because its recovery was deliberately obscured. Makes a Republic story not just about a shipwreck, but maybe about government secrecy and controlling the narrative. Fascinating stuff.
Right. Okay, fast forward again. 1987. Enter Martin Barrel. This guy launches one of the most serious, most sustained hunts for the Republic's treasure. Former Marine, commercial diver. He became absolutely obsessed with the Republic, convinced the gold was real and he could find it, spent years just digging, archives, passenger lists, obscure government papers, obsessive research. His conclusion, the gold was there and he was gonna get it.
And Barrel's early expeditions, they actually found the wreck, got this haunting footage of her down there in the dark, largely intact, surprisingly, cargo holds, compartments, sealed by decades of corrosion. For Barrel, this wasn't just cool video, it was proof. Proof the treasure could still be inside, protected, just waiting. It really reignited the whole thing.
But, as anyone in salvage knows, finding it is one thing. Getting stuff out, whole different ballgame. Especially treasure. Barrel got tangled up in massive legal battles, mainly with the U.S. government. Maritime law is, well, it's a nightmare. Super complex. Who owns stuff from an abandoned wreck? The original owner. The shipping line. The government. The salver who risked everything to get it. The stakes with the Republic were astronomical.
Exactly. Barrel argued, look, the wreck was abandoned, he found it, he has salvage rights, makes sense. But the government countered, well, if it's Navy payroll, it's ours, period. Doesn't matter who finds it. So years just dragged on, legal limbo, draining Barrel's money, his resources, stalling the whole operation. It shows you the legal fight can be as tough as the dive itself.
But Barrel, unbelievably tenacious. He just wouldn't quit. Decades later, older, still obsessed, he goes back. His story even became a Discovery Channel series. Remember that, 2016? The $1 Million Wreck chronicled his big renewed push. Pretty dramatic stuff. Submersibles going down, cameras probing, divers waving the deep. You saw the ghost ship down there. They tried to get into cargo holds, debated the theories. But despite all the tech, the effort, the hype, the gold itself, still maddeningly out of reach.
And that really cemented the Republic's status as this huge paradox, didn't it? The most famous treasure ship of the 20th century that's never actually given up its treasure. And the reasons why are clear. Looking back, first, the sheer difficulty. 250 feet is deep. That twilight zone depth requires serious, expensive gear, expert divers, meticulous planning. It's inherently dangerous.
Plus, the wreck itself is falling apart now, collapsing under its own weight. Silt-burying sections, corrosion sealing compartments like vaults. Getting inside would mean heavy-duty excavation, robotics, months, maybe years of dangerous work on the seabed. In the notoriously rough Atlantic, it's just prohibitively expensive, incredibly risky, and as Beryl found out, legally treacherous. All that just discourages the kind of massive investment needed.
So here we are today, and the central paradox is sharper than ever. No definitive proof, no gold bars, no coins, nothing recovered from the Republic, ever. Skeptics look at that and say, see? Pure myth. Born from rumors, hyped by tabloids, kept alive by wishful thinking. They point to the missing manifests, the failed expeditions. Makes sense.
But the believers, they counter just as strongly. They say the secrecy is the proof. Governments hide lost fortunes, especially sensitive ones. Some still insist the Navy got it out ages ago, leaving an empty shell as decoy. So what does it all mean? The debate just rages on, unresolved. A mix of history, rumor, and pure ambition.
And the enduring allure really is the sheer potential value. If that gold is real, $3 million from 1909. Today, that's easily over $400 million. Could be way more, depending on the type of gold, its history. That kind of money, it's just irresistible.
Absolutely. Guarantees that people, divers, researchers, dreamers will never stop wondering, never stop imagining what's down there in those holds. So the Republic really has this dual legacy, doesn't it? First, she's a huge technological milestone, a story of survival. Her sinking was the first time wireless telegraphy undeniably saved mass lives. Jack Bin's call showed the world radio's power. It literally paved the way for its global adoption. Without the Republic, the Titanic disaster 3 years later could have been unimaginably worse.
And the second legacy, just as powerful, is the enduring treasure mystery. She perfectly embodied the Gilded Age, the opulence, the class divides. Her sinking through those two worlds together, the super rich, the poor immigrants in this chaos of collision, rescue, and this persistent whisper of hidden riches that just won't die. It's a potent story.
So in the end, the Republic is more than just a wreck. She's a question mark. A big one, sitting on the seabed. The truth. It's down there, 250 feet deep, locked in steel, shrouded in silt. Did she carry millions in gold? Will it ever be found? Or maybe the real treasure is the mystery itself, the story that keeps us hooked, keeps us wondering, reminds us that sometimes the best secrets are the ones the ocean keeps. We've explored the Republic's opulent rise, her dramatic fall, a ship at the crossroads of luxury, innovation, survival, and this tantalizing, enduring mystery. Her story gave the world wireless rescue, saving thousands, even as she took a secret to the grave that's eluded everyone for generations.
The Atlantic holds its secrets very tightly, and as long as the Republic lies down there, off Nantucket, in the darkness, her legend, well, it's going to keep burning bright in our imaginations. That siren call of lost fortune is hard to ignore.
So, did the Millionaires Ship really carry a fortune worth hundreds of millions, hidden down there? Or maybe her greatest treasure isn't gold at all, but the powerful story, the legend that keeps us searching, wondering, reminding us that some of history's most compelling riches are the secrets the ocean guards so well. This whole story of the Republic, it suggests that sometimes the real adventure isn't finding the treasure, it's wrestling with the possibility that it's even there. Because somewhere down there, in the cold, deep silence of the sea, the Millionaire Ship still waits.